Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Two Geeks and a Microphone show. All right, today, everybody, we are doing the Mandalorian season finale. But wait a minute. I don't think that's Mike with me. What's going on here? Stay tuned. Here we go. All right. Who goes first? Do you go first? Here, wait a minute.
Hello there. Hello. Talk first. I talk first.
There we have it, everybody. The official.
Now it's
Mike is
official.
normally on those. Welcome, everybody, to the Two Geeks and a Microphone show. I am your host, Mr. Stephen Buster, along with the one, the only. Wait a minute. That's not Mike, but that is the one, the only Mr. Brien Ramsey from the Three Geeky Dads podcast. Brien, say hey to everybody.
Hey everybody! Thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure to fill in for the illustrious Michael Shanks. What people don't know, Stephen, is that I am actually Michael. The mask that Michael has been wearing was his Mandalorian mask all this time. He's removed it under orders from the armorer, and this is actually what's underneath. So you were seeing Mike's true face for the first time.
Right. Let's put that helmet back on.
This is the way.
This is the way. Hey, everybody. Brien was so gracious to come. As you know, we here at Two Geeks and Microphone love the Three Geeky Dads podcast. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, I would encourage you
And
guys.
likewise, your show is always awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I never miss it. I'm not always able to comment, but I may not be able to catch you guys live every Saturday morning, but I always listen to the replay.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you. That's so gracious. So, hey, everybody, if you want to check out their website, it's number 3, gdpodcast.com. Please check them out. From there, you can get more information about them, their show, the links to whatever favorite podcaster catcher you want or have. It's all there.
As we like to say, smash one of those shiny buttons so you'll never miss an upcoming episode.
Yep. Hey, Mark's joined us. Mark is in the Facebook chat. Mark, hey, how are you? He says, this is the way, having Brien on the show.
Hey, buddy.
Mark, we were just talking about the show. The reason we were just a few minutes late is because I watched the menu this last week, and I was telling them how I was so interested in how shall I say? I was interested in the film, thinking it was a drama, but the horror elements threw me off, and I'm like, this is really good.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Yep. That one's full of surprises.
Yep. So, all right, everybody. Well, hey, we actually are going to be talking about the Mandalorian, and I am pretty excited about it because it is the finale. I know Mike wanted to be here with us, but I know that he is busy having a great time doing his first big camping trip with his new camper. And
the R-Pod.
The R-Pod, right. If you have not seen his pictures on Facebook and stuff, you should. They've worked really hard, and so I'm excited for him and looking forward to all the stories. Anyway, so let's do this. Everyone, we're just going to jump right into it because there is so much that happened, so much to talk about, and I'm very excited about having this discussion. Brien, again, I'm just saying for everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and
thank you for thinking of me. I always did the Ant-Man thing. Thank you for thinking of me.
You're right. So here's the dealio. So everybody, normally what we do is we kind of give our overall review with no spoilers, just talk about it briefly. We give it a rating scale, and we do a little bit of kind of something out of 10. How do we feel about it? Then we move into our spoilerific territory. We'll go into more details on things. So I will say this: once we hit that point, we'll give you a fair warning if you have not yet seen the finale. But I'll be open with you. For those who are big Mandalorian fans, I would be surprised if you have not already watched the finale. I could not wait. I almost stayed up late just to see it. Gosh, that would have been 4 a.m. your time when it releases?
It is, yeah. I can't stay up that late, and I don't want to get up that early.
Oh, gosh.
1 a.m. Eastern is about my cutoff.
Okay. All right. See, everybody, just so you know, Brien is at Eastern Standard Time. His personal address is, oh, excuse me. Hang on a second. I'm Mountain Standard Time. I'm up in Montana. So we're just having a blast and just reconnecting this morning. And I tell you what, we usually get on. Brien was gracious, everybody, to get on an hour earlier before the show, because that's normally when Mike and we talk through stuff. I think we spent maybe of that hour, maybe a minute talking about getting ready for the show. And that was about it.
Did. I was looking at the time on my computer and I was like, wow, are we going to start talking about how we're going to go through this? But we were having too much fun.
That's right. So we're going to have a great time today. So strap in and you're right. So here we go. Now, hey, Brien, in your opinion, what should we use for our rating scale?
Well, what have you guys, I mean, there have been 8 episodes this season. What have you used as a rating scale? Have you used Darksabers? I'm sure you must have used Darksabers.
I think we used Darksabers for season 1, but I don't think we used it for this season. What else? What are
stuff that was pertinent to this final episode? Praetorian Guards?
Oh, let's do it. Let's do Praetorian Guards. We'll do Praetorian Guards. Yeah, I don't know if we did that for the last episode or not.
I was like, you must have
Mark, Lizzo's. Sorry, Mark. Mark said Lizzo's. Sorry, we this is not that episode.
And even if it was, I don't think you would be using her as a rating scale.
Right. Yeah, I think we spent a lot of time talking about how that was the first episode of any show or movie that I felt like, you know how people say, oh, it took me so out of the show or out of the movie or out of the episode. I'd never really experienced that, thinking, nah, that's crazy. But when I watched this episode, I was like, I'm not in Star Wars anymore, or I'm not, it did take me out. It was really interesting.
It did. And it was an episode that was stuffed with cameos. I mean, I think it would have been fine if you just had Christopher Lloyd. That wouldn't have taken me too much out of it, because Christopher Lloyd has pretty much run the gamut. I think Star Wars is the last playground he hasn't been in. He's already done Star Trek. He's Back to the Future.
Right.
He's pretty much been in every large sci-fi franchise except for Star Wars. So it's about time. I mean, the guy's got to be pushing 90, right?
Oh, I know.
So we got to get Christopher Lloyd in here somehow. And that wouldn't have taken me out. I would have been like, yes, it's about time Christopher Lloyd made his way over to the Star Wars universe.
Right.
But with Jack Black and Lizzo in that episode too, it's just like already overstuffed.
Yeah.
And unfortunately it was it took me out of the episode a little bit too.
Right. Oh, here's Brenda. Brenda says, good morning. Good morning, Brenda. I assume it's you and Mike together watching through your phone and stuff. So hey, hope you guys are having a great time and all. So
absolutely.
Let's talk about, let's just go dark. No, Praetorian Guards. Here we go. Praetorian Guards. Would you like to go first, since you're the honored guest?
Sure. Okay. I think I'm going to give this one a solid 5 Praetorian Guards. This episode did not. One thing, maybe 4.75. I'll knock down a little.
Okay, go ahead. Do it out of 10. Let's do it out
of
10.
Out of 10 instead of 5. Well,
let's try that.
It's a solid 9.75.
9.7.
9.75.
We went to the 10 because I kept doing the point something. So let's just do it.
Yep. I'm
now.
just knocking a little bit off just for one reason I'll get to in a little bit.
Okay, great. I am looking forward to hearing that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think for me, I would give it a great 9 out of 10. So 9. I won't go 9.75. I won't go
Mm-hmm.
10. I enjoyed it. There's a couple of things about it, but in all openness, it's just nitpicking.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that's what mine is too. It's nitpicky stuff.
yeah, and I tell you what, I thoroughly enjoyed this finale for what it
Mm-hmm.
was. I really enjoyed it. The introduction to a couple of things that we'll get into. That's spoilerific territory, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the flow was fine. I will say there was some, if everybody you watched the last one, which it was in the last episode was entitled Spies.
Right.
I thought it was plural. And
Mm-hmm.
I was really curious what would happen out of this one. And I really, I don't know if I really got an answer or not out
That
of
was
that.
my nitpicky thing too. There was no
Oh, was it? Oh,
resolution
okay.
to who was the other spy, if there was another spy.
Yes.
This had gone on for an entire week. Every podcast that I listened to,
Yeah.
and that breaks down the Mandalorian, everybody was talking about who's the other spy, and there was a lot of speculation that it was the armor. There was a lot of speculation that it was Axe Wolf or Wolf Axe, whatever his name is, that
Right.
flew off as well.
Mhm.
Because and this is what I was thinking too before I had even heard the other podcasts and seen the other stuff on YouTube. The armor used Bo-Katan to get all the clans together in one spot,
Mhm.
and then she conveniently took off just as Moff Gideon was about to attack. And I'm like, well, that's it. She's out of here, and
Yeah.
she set up the pieces to fall, and
Yep.
and she's got to be the other spy. And then it turned out she wasn't.
She wasn't. I know.
She
Was that
wasn't,
your
and
theory? That was your
that was
theory,
my
was the
theory. That
armor?
I'm like, and the main reason, because they showed a scene of her in last week's episode taking off in the ship with the injured
Yeah.
Mandalorians
Uh-huh.
and alerting the fleet that she was on her way.
Yeah.
And it's like, why show that? And I'm waiting for something to happen that never happened. I'm like, well, it's going to happen this week then, and it didn't.
Mhm.
And it didn't.
Mhm.
They totally threw that red herring out there. And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what knocked it down. Maybe it's just because we had built that up in our headcanon in our minds that this
And
is
everybody
what's
was
going to
talking
happen,
about it.
and
Oh,
everybody was
yeah.
talking about it for a week, and it didn't resolve. And
Right.
yeah, so that was my only nitpick, and I think it sounded like it was yours too. I
It
apologize for
was.
dominating.
No, it's totally fine because I'm glad you shared your thoughts on that, because I was just like, well, am I making too much of it? But
Mm.
what you just stated, I think was right, was everybody was talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was talking about it, about who it could be or who it was, and then making their predictions for this episode. And I'm
Right.
like, did they like edit last minute to take out whatever that to throw everybody off or something? kind of a
It's
thing.
possible. It's possible.
Oh goodness. So yeah. So I just to finish off the overall section here, I would say that and I want to get your final thoughts overall here too, is it, do I think it was a worthy season finale? Because that's what everyone, was it really, was it,
Mm-hmm.
really what we expected, and was it good to have? Because, I've watched some series and I'm like, that's what you're
Mm-hmm.
giving me for the finale.
Yeah.
This for me was a good season finale.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that I was like, there was a lot of stuff in this season that really, compared to the season finale, the
Mm-hmm.
finale makes me think that everything else was just filler to get to here.
Yeah.
To these last
Yeah.
two episodes, 7 and 8,
Mm-hmm.
because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it that much.
Yeah.
How about for you?
I enjoyed the season as a whole.
Okay.
It did seem to be a little rudderless, where they didn't seem to have a clear direction, like almost
Okay.
up until episode 6, which was that when Gideon came back, or they found the ship that
They
was carrying
found the
Gideon?
ship at the end.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
I
it's
think
like, all
so.
right,
Yeah.
so they're bringing, and then it's like, okay, so that's where they're going, but they've only got 3 episodes left to tell this story. Where
Right.
it's like before then, and he wasn't being the bounty hunter that we came to know and love. He wasn't
Mm,
doing the stuff that we love to see Din Djarin do. It
right.
became Bo-Katan's story. When at the very beginning, Bo-Katan didn't want anything to do with anything except sit in her castle and sulk. You
Yeah.
know, that everybody had run off. You know, she didn't have the dark saber. She didn't have the her Death Watch Owl crew anymore. They had
Hmm.
taken off,
Right.
and then all of a sudden it seemed like she was the focus of the show. An episode or two later, it's like, well,
Hmm.
this season is where is it going? Where is
Yeah.
it going? And it seemed like at the very end they tied it together. And granted, they tied it together very well, but
Yeah.
six episodes. And granted, it was good. I did enjoy the
Hmm.
season overall, but it did seem a little rudderless as compared to the other seasons that had come before.
Yeah, that's insightful because when we were on the Road Warrior ship on Mandalore, I love calling it the Road Warrior. They had that big old ship, and
I
I
love that kind of ice skiff.
yes, yeah, it was
Yeah,
great. Yeah,
yeah, that was cool. I would have loved to see more of that.
yeah. In all openness, I thought those guys probably were the spies because
Yeah,
how do you survive on there not knowing that that base is there or
right, right.
kind of a thing. But anyway, one of the things that happened on that ship that would cause me to think the same thing as you as is this Bo-Katan story
Mm-hmm.
was when it was a great moment. It all opened.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great. I really enjoyed it. Where, and to play on your Brien, my song is not yet written, Ramsey kind of a thing, which I love that, by the way.
Thank you.
Everybody, for those who are listening, we're on the live shows, we're on video, and Brien put his name out, 3GDs, through Geeky Dads. Brien, quote, my song is not yet written, and quote, Ramsey on his name title. So I would say at that moment where Din Djarin tells her that, your song is not yet written and I will
Right,
follow you. I
until
thought
it is. Yeah.
until it is. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
so I thought, well, maybe they're setting up for something. They're using these
Right.
to set up for something else, or,
Mm-hmm.
they're getting everything interconnected. I may ask your opinion on that here in a little bit maybe at the end of the show, if I remember,
Sure.
just about should Star Wars be interconnected like how Marvel has done. I want to save that for later because I really want to get into the episode and stuff. But I've had wonders about that, if that should be the case or not.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so with that, hey everybody, we're gonna we're already 15 minutes in. Holy cow, this is great.
There's a lot to talk
Um,
about.
I know. We are going to go into spoilerific territory. And so I just want to give you a heads up real quick. So anything from here on out, if you have not seen it, I just want to encourage you to come back and listen later. So here we go. There's our spoilerific sound for you. We're moving into spoilers. So, all right. So, Brien, what we're not gonna go sequential, everybody, or
Mm.
like or from beginning to end through the episode. I really want us to talk about what our favorite parts are, and I'd love to hear from you guys as well. Hey, I know Derpy Entertainment, I see you in the chats. Sorry, I'm trying to do chats at the same time. So real quick, here's what Derpy says. I love the season finale, but my analysis of season 3 compared to 1 and 2 was Nickelodeon's Doug season 1 and 2, and then there's season 3 Disney Doug. I have not seen season 1, 2, or 3 of Doug, but I do know what you're referencing. So those of you out there who know what he's saying, you'll probably
I am
understand
aware
that.
of Doug. I didn't realize that there was a Nickelodeon and a Disney Doug.
Right? Interesting. All right, so here we go. Brien,
Yes.
what was your favorite part in this episode?
I really liked seeing R5 get his moment to shine finally. I really did. You know what? I probably should have I have an R5D4 T-shirt that's done up in the style of the AC/DC logo, and underneath it says "Bad Motivator." And I should have wore that.
That's awesome.
I should have wore that instead, but I dug out my "This is the way" T-shirt. But no, I do like how R5 got his moment to shine instead of being the little cowardly droid, with faulty wiring and whatnot in the
Right,
background.
right.
He got right out there in the base, and the mouse droids discovering him, and the little sirens going off.
Right.
I thought that was cool. I loved. This was almost like a callback to the prequel movies with the shield doors that he was unlocking one by one as the new Death Troopers in their Mandalorian or Beskar armor.
The Beskar
I should
armor,
say.
yeah.
We're waiting, two by two as the doors were there. They're waiting for Din Djarin to work his way through so they can mess them up, and it didn't happen. Didn't mess them all up. And that was a great scene. I loved that whole thing. Intermixed with that little bit of comedy. Cutting back to R5, it kind of broke up the tension of it, but it was still an awesome part of the show.
Yeah, I loved it where it showed how those little Imperial droids. Did you notice that, or the mouse droids? Yeah, sorry, good call. Yeah, where when he started flying off, one of them. One of the mouse droids just went off the edge.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was kind of waiting for him to do the same thing that R2-D2 did back in the day with the battle droids when he squirted the oil and then took off, so everything caught on fire. I was waiting.
That would have been cool,
but he didn't. And it's kind of good. I mean, I like that it was comedy, but I don't like recycling the same joke, even though in my mind that's where I thought it was going to go.
Right.
So it was just cool that he did what he did and he got out of there and they didn't catch him. So it was nice.
So let's call that the hall. Yeah, let's call that Din Djarin scene the hallway scene, for lack of a better term.
Perfect.
I absolutely adored that scene because it was almost like
I'm always a sucker for a good hallway fight, a la Daredevil.
Right. I know that's exactly where it comes from, is right there and stuff. So yeah, we've got some people who are coming in. Here we go. Hey, Mike and Megan. Welcome.
Hey guys, can you hear us?
We can hear you.
We can.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Hey Brien, I just wanted to pop in and say hi and
hi, Mike.
For filling in and all that good
How's
stuff.
the camper? How's that R-Pod treating you in a campground far away?
It was great last night, but today we're working out some bugs. We're struggling today, so it's the first trip. We got to figure out all the bugs and stuff. Yeah, we're having an electrical problem right now. So,
that's funny. All right, real quick, Mike. What was your score for this episode?
So, what did we pick for a scale?
Praetorian Guards.
Cool. I would give this an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this episode. We got a lot of good action in here. Tied up all the loose ends pretty much. Nice resolution, at the end of the season. It was a little confusing because I'm like, it almost felt like they could actually end the series here.
I was going to get to that too, Mike.
Okay.
It almost felt like a series finale as well.
Yeah, it almost did. I'm hoping I'm wrong, and I'm hoping it's not.
I've heard that there's going to be a 4th season, but
I've heard
always changing their minds.
John Favreau has said he's got season 4 written, so
that's what I heard too.
And they did say that the movie that Dave Filoni is going to be in charge of will tie into all 3 series, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Andor. Not Andor.
No, Andor's going to wrap up with.
Yeah, because Andor is different.
Yep.
I forget, but and Boba Fett. That's right, Book of Boba Fett. So it's going to tie into all 3 of those series. So I don't think it's a series finale, but if they decided they wanted to, it would actually work. So, but I enjoyed the action. I thought the story was good. I liked how they tied up a lot of stuff. I'm kind of glad to see the end of the Dark Saber. I thought it was a fitting end because I felt they wrote themselves into a corner with the Dark Saber. And I said, yeah, this is a good place to just get rid of it. So
yep, agreed.
Excellent resolutions. So what was you guys' thoughts?
Go ahead, Brien. Sorry,
Oh,
I'm
you want me to
still
go first?
mourning. I'm still mourning the loss of the Darksaber.
Are you?
Really?
I love the Darksaber.
It's tough to mourn something that they really didn't use,
Right.
other than as a symbol. You know,
Right.
it didn't get enough screen time in action, you know,
Yeah.
until this episode, but then it was destroyed by Gideon. But as far as what my thoughts were, Stephen and I just went over this. I gave it a 9.75 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, and my only nitpick was that we didn't find out who the other spies were.
Right.
There was no resolution to that.
Right.
Because there was a lot of speculation over this past week of who was the other spy, because the title was pluralized, so everybody went nuts.
Brien, who was your thought on who the
I
other
thought it was
spy
the armor. I really
That's
thought it
what
was
I
going
thought.
to be the armor. And I said this when I watched it with my wife before I heard, and I told Stephen this before I heard every other podcast and YouTuber saying, yes, exactly. The horns and everything. I'm like, I heard you say that. I'm like, it's all tying in. It's gotta be her. You know, she set up the pieces to fall, and she took off before the attack happened, and then nothing. So that was I had that all built up in my head, and I think that's the only reason I knocked it down a quarter of a point.
Now, I got to say, when I was thinking that it was the armor, after I had said that, I saw a YouTube video of a little girl meeting with the actress that plays the armor.
Emily
Swallow. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent actress, by the way.
She is.
And I love her as the armor. She's so good. But she was meeting with the little girl. I think it was at Star Wars Celebration. And this little girl was so excited to meet the armor. And she even let her hold the hammer and all this stuff. And I looked at Brenda and I go, oh my gosh, that little girl is going to be crushed if the armorer turns out to be the bad guy.
Very true.
Know? And I was like, oh, I kind of feel sorry for, all these little kids who are fans of the armorer, and then the armorer goes rogue. Yeah. So in that sense, I'm kind of glad I was wrong.
Right.
But from a story standpoint, I think it could have been interesting.
No, it's true. It's true.
All right. Well, I'll let you guys get back to it.
Thanks for popping in.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. Good seeing you.
And thanks for filling in for me, Brien. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for thinking of me. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. We love you guys.
Hey, Megan.
Love the rest of the guys over at Three Geeky Dads, too. And
all
Tito.
Right, I'll pass on the love. And Tito.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the camper.
We will. Thank you.
Oh, gosh. That's awesome.
Good seeing
him. So, the armor, the whole aspect of the armor, that's interesting. You talked about the YouTube video of the little girl, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what spurred on what we said, the last minute editing to take that part out.
Said, let's get rid of that whole thing, and we'll just have her, lead the attack with Bo-Katan instead.
Well, all right.
It's
Since
all
we're
in
talking
the
about
editing.
It's all in the editing. What did you say earlier? I'll fix it in post.
Fix it in post.
That's funny things about live. We don't get to fix it in post.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's right. I didn't think of that.
That's what makes them more daring and exciting. So let me ask you this about the Darksaber real quick. Since we talked about it and brought it up and stuff, here are my thoughts about the Darksaber, because I really wanted to see the Darksaber in an incredible battle. Does that make sense? You're right.
Yeah.
That we didn't get enough screen time with it to see its capabilities, what we really could do with it. And yes, it was a symbol, and it is a symbol, but I really wanted to see it used as, what it is.
Yeah.
And so when he crushed it, it just crushed my heart.
Along with Bo-Katan's fingers.
Right. Right. Now, you've seen, I would assume we talked about this briefly, but about the Ahsoka trailer.
Right.
And so there was the phrase, well, maybe it's time to start or have a new beginning or start again or start fresh or something. I can't think. But that droid, if I remember right, that droid is from Rebels, from the animated show, but he knows the schematics for every lightsaber, right?
Which droid are you talking about,
So
Steven?
in the Ahsoka trailer, there was the droid that said maybe it's time for a new beginning or a new start or something to
Oh,
that
the one that's
effect.
got David Tennant's voice.
The one that's
I
got
forget his
David
name.
Tennant's voice.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
He,
I'm following you now.
if I remember right, he knows the schematics for every single lightsaber.
You might be right. So will he be able to recreate a new dark saber?
Will he be able to create a new dark saber?
I don't see why
And
not.
that
I mean,
helped my grieving heart.
yeah, yeah. I don't really know the background of the dark saber. I didn't watch all of the Clone Wars, where I guess
Okay.
the dark saber story originated.
Mm-hmm.
I did see it pop up in Rebels with Sabine.
Yeah.
What did it? Yes, it did. And obviously in this story now it carries through because when Moff Gideon first showed up at the very end of season 1 and he cut his way out of the TIE fighter with the dark
Right.
saber, I was like, ah,
That's awesome.
I know
Right.
that weapon.
Right. Right.
It was really cool, but it's become more of a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Than an actual weapon. It's a means
Yeah.
to further the story. It's something for everybody to chase. And you're right. And I said it too. It was nice to see it in action for the little bit that we got to see Bo-Katan wield it in this episode. But
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to have seen more of it, other than using it to cut their way out of a situation. It almost
Yeah.
became like their sonic screwdriver. That's how they get out of tight spots. It's like we're going to blast our way out of it until we can't, and then we're just going to use the dark saber, which will
Right.
cut a hole, and we can get or use it to defeat whatever we're fighting. And
Yeah.
yeah, it just seemed like that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see more that's true. Yeah, everybody, what you're experiencing is a counseling session where truth teller Brian Ramsey is helping Stephen have to come to terms with his grief.
And now I know why you want to keep this an hour, because you don't want to be overbilled.
Well played. Oh gosh. Now so let's go back to the hallway scene, which
Yeah.
is really my favorite scene in the Daredevil series.
Yeah, and it harkens back to obviously Darth Vader's scene at the end of Rogue One. That
Yep.
hallway scene where he's fighting his way through the rebels,
Through the rebels.
to get to the plans, and then obviously that was mirrored by Luke at the end of season, was it 2? The rescue when he was season 2 of the Mandalorian. The rescue when he grabbed Yoda and took him with him to be trained.
Right.
He had to fight his way through the that version of the Dark Troopers,
which was just awesome. Which is just incredible. Yeah.
So even Star Wars has had its fair share of cool hallway fights.
So with this hallway fight, what did you think about the whole Beskar Stormtrooper, Beskar new Death Star troopers with the Beskar? I absolutely loved it.
I did too. And as soon as they popped up on screen last week, my wife looked at me and said, "No," and because she knew what I was going to say. No. Let me finish. She didn't have an opinion either way as to what they look like. She said no because as soon as I saw them, I went, "Oh!" And she said no because she knew I want that helmet to add to my collection. I already have a Mandalorian helmet. I have Din Djarin's helmet, and I have Boba Fett's helmet, and I have 4 different Stormtrooper helmets. So this one will tie them all in nicely. And as soon as I saw it, I went, "Oh!" And she said no, because she knows I have a problem.
Oh gosh. Everyone, if you want to go ahead and contribute to the Three Geeky Dads divorce fund for Brian. I'm just kidding.
I promise our Ko-fi page does not go to support my helmet problem.
Right. That's what we are now doing, a special fundraiser for the Dark Trooper helmets so that we can save Brian's marriage.
That's right. If it's not toys, it's microphones.
Right. Oh my goodness. So I love the whole Dark Troopers. I love the
Yeah,
when
me
I
too.
saw them, it threw me back to playing the Star Wars Dark Forces game
Yeah,
when they
yeah.
first came in. And I was like, "Oh, this is so exciting," because I
Mhm.
just love that concept. And now
Yeah,
to see it and then see it as stormtroopers was one thing. One
yeah.
Beskar armor stormtroopers, and that battle was just so
Mhm.
frenetic, so much action
It
going on.
was.
It was almost too much to take in because I was just like, "Okay."
Agreed.
And
It definitely had a lot of, like, "I need to pause this. I need to see exactly what's happening on
yeah,
that screen." Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I wanted
This
to
is the
take it
opposite
all
of the
in.
Steven skip. We had to do the Steven slow down, Steven slow-mo, so we could take it all in.
That's right. Everybody, you heard it first. Brien brought it up. He gets credit for it. The Steven slowdown. You either get the Steven skip or you get the
Yeah,
Steven slowdown.
that's right.
Yeah, I didn't skip anything in this.
Yeah,
Zero.
yeah,
Zip,
you
zilch.
couldn't. It it was one of the longer episodes this season, but it felt like it was only 15 minutes long. It
It
really did.
it really did. It really
Mhm.
did. So with that hallway scene, I love the fact that it is almost like level, then boss level in a video game,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
and I
yes.
loved it because
Mhm.
he had to get creative with how he had to fight each one, and then it was almost like the weapon he used at each level upgraded. It was the
Yeah,
knife fight,
yeah.
then it was the I don't know what you call
The
those.
flamethrower.
It was the flamethrower. Oh, yeah, that's right,
Yep,
the flamethrower.
yeah,
Then
yep.
it was
And they used the
the
flamethrower on him too, and I wanna know, obviously Beskar doesn't burn, but neither
right.
did his cape, and I'm thinking, like, the cape has to be some kind of flame retardant stuff anyway because he's always got the jetpack on his back, and you never see the
Right,
cape go up in flames because that
right.
would just
No
be
kids.
silly.
Right?
But he got hit a couple of times with the flamethrower
He
himself, and
sure did.
his cape didn't even smoke.
Right? Must be. Hey, that's a good detail. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
Huh. Boy, that would have been cool if it caught on fire
yeah, he
or
could have
not
ripped it
fire,
off
but
and
you could see it burn,
threw it at one of the guys to blind him. That would have been
right?
that would have been neat.
Ooh. Right. Where were you in the writing room, man?
Like, they've got my number. No, I I wish.
Uh, right? Oh gosh. I would what was the next thing? Then it was those spears or what I don't know what to call those all of a sudden. They have the oh, it's the same thing like those droids had in the very beginning of Revenge of the Sith. The the canes and stuff, the vibration canes or something like
Yeah,
that. I can't remember what they're called. Then he finally got a blaster. I loved how when he was doing a knife fight with one, he threw his knife in the guy and the guy fell over, but he
yeah,
went to get it. And he was like,
yeah.
"Oh, it lost
Yep,
it.
it's
Okay.
gone. It's
I don't have
gone.
anything for the next fight either." It was almost like that way
Mhm.
every single one. So,
Yeah,
and then it became the big boss fight with
Gideon.
Gideon.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts about here comes Gideon, here he is in the
in the
full
armor.
Dark Trooper armor. I loved how he
Yeah,
said, "The best thing about it is because 'cause I'm in it." I mean, that was in
yeah.
episode 7, but, I
Mhm.
kinda cracked up with that kind of a thing.
Right,
Um,
right.
how
But
how do
I
you feel
like when
that
he showed up and he was whining about his clones being destroyed.
Yes.
And he said those clones were near perfect. They just needed one thing, and that was that they would be able to use the Force, which
Yes.
is now we know why he was experimenting on Grogu going all the way back to season one, where
Mhm.
he was trying to extract the, I hate to say it, the midichlorians or whatever from, you know,
Mhm.
from Grogu's blood and incorporate that into his clones.
Mhm.
So
And now
yeah,
we know
I kind of
also
like where he was
why.
bemoaning the loss of his clones.
Right?
After he said that clones weren't his thing, that was Hux's thing. Remember
Right.
at the beginning of last week's episode when they had the Shadow Council and
Yes.
it was Hux, but it wasn't the Hux that we know from the sequel trilogy. It was
Yeah.
Hux's father, which was played by Donald Gleason's brother. So
Yes.
it was even keeping that in the family,
I
so they
I
still had that
that's
resemblance.
interesting. I don't think I caught that was his brother playing that part.
I read that afterwards.
Did you? Okay.
When when I watched the episode last week, I was like, they just called him Hux. I'm like, but that's
Right.
not what's his name,
Right.
And then later on, I don't know if I caught it in the credits. It said Gleason, but it wasn't Domhnall's name. It was something else.
Yeah.
And I
How
read online that was his brother playing him.
Okay.
So his brother's playing his father. He keeps it all in the family.
Something like that, right? That's interesting.
Mm.
I did think that was interesting. I thought that was just in the Shadow Council. I saw that whole thing as a big move.
Yeah.
Just a very big political move kind of
It
thing.
was. It was. Yeah. It was showing that the former empire had been splintered, but they're still in their own way trying to get control back, and you can see the beginning of what would become the First Order, I guess.
Right. Oh, here's Brendan Mike saying, did you notice he didn't have his mustache? No, I didn't notice.
No, didn't notice.
I know. Interesting. So with okay, here's the what if Brenda brings up, or Mike brings up, and this is the next thing I was going to ask you. What if it was one of his clones? There is a rumor out there saying that the one that got burned up in the suit was not the original Gideon.
Well,
have you heard that?
I didn't even know. I didn't even think of that.
That some people are saying that was just that was just one of the clones and stuff.
And that the real Gideon is still out there to show up later on. I kind of like that, because I do love Giancarlo Esposito, and
my goodness,
he's such an awesome actor. He plays a brilliant bad guy in anything.
He does.
Be it Breaking Bad, be it this. He's just awesome to watch. And if there is more Mandalorian coming down, if there is a season 4 that has been written and will be produced, I would love to see more Gideon pop up.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I will say this. I mean, how many times has
Gideon returned?
Right? How many times have he gotten blown up though? That actor, how many times has he been blown up?
Oh, I know. That's true. That's right. That happened to him in Breaking Bad.
Right? Which is just a great scene. I have not watched the show. I have seen that clip.
It's a very gory scene.
Yeah. They say we think he's still alive, didn't see a body. Right?
No body, no crime.
Right. Here's my thoughts. I'm okay if it was one of his clones. I'm okay with that. I'm also okay if in season 4 they bring him back, because he's just a great arch nemesis. You know what I mean? You know how all of it, like Batman has the Joker, Superman has Lex Luthor. There's always that arch nemesis kind of a thing. And I thought,
that's right. Everybody has to have an arch villain.
Yeah,
Luke-headed star.
All right, who happened to be his father, but he kissed his sister, not his brother. But I would say this. I'm okay if they don't. You remember how you and Mike were talking about how this was it could have been a series finale. I don't think so.
Have that feel to it.
Yeah. What I do think it is the Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau series finale for them, because they have all these other projects going on. But if you notice, there were other directors this year. I mean, they always have had that.
Yeah.
But I think they were doing kind of some training wheel stuff, which now, based upon your comment of where you were saying, hey, it seemed like they were kind of rudderless a little bit. I wonder if that's because they had different people doing different things to kind of take over for the next season.
Well, if you look, I think it was still written by Filoni and even though they had other people directing it, so they originally had the story, it's just other people that had directed that story. But directors have their own input as well. But ultimately it has to come down to their say-so, because they're the executive producers on this thing. They know what they want to do and what they're ultimately leading up to. So
good call.
But I don't know if it had anything to do with the directors, because the directors that they used had been with them from the beginning. So it's not like they're brand new to the show either. A lot of them, I noticed, was done by that was it Famuyima? I'm butchering his name, but he's been directing from season 1 along with Dallas Bryce Howard and
yes, Yep, she's been doing it. She's
Mhm.
actually a pretty good director. I
She's
mean,
a very good director. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. She's got her father to lean on, so
right?
he's no slouch either.
He's no
Ron
slouch either.
Howard has made some amazing movies.
That he has. Did he
Mhm.
do Cocoon? Did
He
he do?
did. Yep.
Yeah,
He
that
did.
was
Yeah.
yeah.
Splash, Cocoon, Apollo 11. Ton of other stuff that I can't think of right now because I'm in Star Wars mode.
Right. I will say this: it's always great to have you when you're in the chat, on our episodes when we go live and stuff. It's always fun because you're always like, "Oh, there's our Tito."
Yeah. Yep. Sometimes my fingers can't keep up with you guys though. By the time I finally get to hit that enter button, you guys are off like 2 more sentences ahead of me. And
Right.
my comment comes in and it's like, well, okay.
Right. Yeah, that does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a few moments delay between
Mhm.
when we're talking
Yeah.
live, but
Well,
by the
I'm a
time
slow
the chat
typist to
comes
begin
through.
with too, so
Yeah.
I hit the
So
backspace more than anything because of all the typos.
right? I do that too. I can type 90 words a minute.
Yeah, you won't understand a word, but I
Right.
can do it.
Well, but really what you're hearing on the keys as I'm typing, it sounds like 90 words a minute, but that's just me hitting the back button all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get it, and I hope you like Klingon because that's what it came out as.
Yeah, right. So with going back to Gideon being the arch villain, I'm looking
Right.
forward to season 4 being the let's get back to the bounty hunter adventures.
And that's what it
That's what
seemed like
I
it was
heard.
going to do
Yeah.
because they made Grogu his apprentice, and they said,
Mhm.
"Now you've got to take him and train him,"
Mhm.
and he told, Grief Karga at the end when Grief gave him the little, cottage to,
Yes.
retire to, which was
Uh-huh.
nice. Um, he said, I'm a bounty hunter, and I want to continue. And he says, well, here's a place you can go to when you guys aren't having your adventures. So there
Yeah.
you go. He's got his little
Loved it.
base to come back to, and a little place to call home. Finally,
Right?
Grogu
So
can play with the frogs in the front yard, and
well, that was gonna be my next question for you. How long do you think that frog lived?
I know,
At
I
the
know.
end.
That's why I cut away.
All right.
Fade to black. He's hungry.
Yeah.
We've already had enough violence in this episode.
Right. We can't take anymore. It's a kid show. I'm just kidding. We're on Disney Plus.
We don't need to see him devour a live frog on TV.
Oh gosh. Were there anything else about this episode that you just thoroughly enjoyed and that you were like, this is really nice for Star Wars, for a Star Wars story?
I loved it because it was like nonstop action from beginning to end. I mean, this
Mhm.
episode picked up right where the last episode left off with them in the
Right.
base and on the run from the Death Troopers or the Dark Troopers, whatever they're called.
Mhm.
And my second favorite was when is it X made it up to the ship to the cruiser, and
Mhm.
it was just getting pounded, and he decided, all right, I'm just going to bring it down, and he
Yeah.
brings that thing down right on top of Gideon.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That
That
was
was
awesome.
it
Shades
was.
of the Executor crashing into the Death Star.
Oh, right. Good call. What a great
Yeah,
callback.
yeah,
Yeah. And I
yeah.
think the special effects were just fabulous
Oh
for this
yeah,
episode.
God. When you got Disney's money, you know that they're not going to skimp on much.
Right. Well, I think
Especially
they
when this is
skipped
kind of
on a
their
lot of
flagship
stuff
show
in the
almost.
show. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I will say I thought that they probably skimped on some episodes to save money for this episode. You know what I mean?
You might be right, which is why that they had some quieter, because they knew that the final 2 episodes were going to be big, spectacular.
Right. Right. Oh, here we go. Here's Mark. Mark says Grogu tortures animals. One Simon, upcoming serial killer.
Does he also wet his bed?
Mark, there you go. Or you could do a real quick, fast drawing of Grogu the serial killer.
Yeah. He will too. He'll have Grogu in a Jason mask in like 5 minutes.
Right. For listeners on the show, if you're not familiar, Mark is just an incredible artist. He's got his Werewolf with a Chainsaw comic series, and just a great individual to talk to about horror movies and those kinds of things. So that's what we're referencing, and yeah, Mark, love it, appreciate it.
Awesome.
Uh,
Mark and I
so-
were hanging out last night. We watched Silver Bullet. The speaking of
no,
werewolf movies,
Stephen King.
yeah, favorite.
Right. There he goes. Mark responds back. Here's what he said, everybody. Season 4 could take a dark turn. Oh gosh. So, oh my goodness. So then I think for me, one of my my second favorite part, in all openness, was that big battle scene where all of a sudden you see, here comes the Beskar troopers coming, and then as they're, how shall I say, the Mandalorians were all with their jetpacks coming down on them, and then here comes Bo-Katan with the dark saber. I tell you, I love the dark saber, everybody.
I know.
And just in that style of coming down, oh, it's about to get real, you know.
Yep. And the armor was right next to her with their hammer and tongs, getting ready to wail on people. Yeah.
Yep. I'm like, yeah, this is Star Wars. This is Star Wars right here.
Yeah.
You know, so I enjoyed that when the ship came down, when X brought the ship down and stuff. That was just that was great. And it was just, this was just good. When I imagine Star Wars, this episode is what I imagine. This is probably one for me for the books that I would go back and watch again. I don't know about episode 7, because really they are really one episode together when you really think about it. Because it was such an interesting cliffhanger, you know, at the end of, 7, that I was like, well, I wonder if it's one of those where there's really one episode, but they split it into 2 parts, kind of. Because it wasn't like a full episode length, I don't think. Was it 38, 40 minutes? Comparatively speaking, the one before was like 46 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yep. And I don't know. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm so used to the growing up an hour TV show, even though there may be 30 minutes of commercials now that I think about it. But
not quite, but it felt like it.
It did.
Yeah. Get on with it.
Right. Oh, thank goodness for DVR today.
Truly.
So, in your mind, where does this rank in the seasons of The Mandalorian? Or just apples to apples in the seasons of Mandalorian. Where would you rank this? Is
this one episode or the entire season?
I would say the entire season. Let's go with the entire season since we're comparing seasons. Is it your favorite season? Oh, look at that, everybody.
No, it's not my favorite season. My favorite season, I have to say, would probably be the first one. I loved the getting to know Din Djarin and getting to see him actually do some bounty hunting and kicking some butt, and learning to deal with a child, and having to take care of something which is something he had never done before. He went from this, kind of lone gunman a la Clint Eastwood,
right?
And now it's turned into Lone Wolf and Cub.
A great analogy.
It has. It's like those old Japanese movies, Lone Wolf and Cub, where you've got the samurai and he's got the young boy that he's got to look after and train and keep him safe, but also it was just a nice intro to the character, and I kind of miss that. I kind of miss it going back to its roots, which is where I hope that they lead to, because it's almost like what they alluded to at the end of this one. That he's going to be the bounty hunter again, that he's going to make his way through the galaxy now with Grogu, and he's going to train him in what he knows best.
Yeah, just making his way in the universe.
That's right. To paraphrase another Mandalorian, or is he a Mandalorian? Well, Boba Fett anyway.
Right. I'll say this.
My father's chain code.
Right. All right. Now that you mentioned Lone Wolf and Cub, I could totally see that being season 4. Totally. Now that you've mentioned that, I'll give you credit on that one. You called that because that would be the direction they go. Plus, remember I guess it was season 2, the one with Ahsoka, and she had the big battle with the Grand Admiral Thrawn's person. And that was such space western / Japanese,
samurai kind of
style.
Yep.
And
very Akira Kurosawa.
Yes. That would be good to see. I think I would really enjoy that if that's what they did. So this is kind of fun, everybody. We're already talking about season 4 predictions.
See that?
And
so this season couldn't have been all that bad. We're looking forward to more.
Right? That's right. I do agree with you. I think season 1 is the best. Season 2 is fine, and season 3 I really enjoyed. Overall, I really enjoyed it. But the whole it felt like season 3 was no longer The Mandalorian, and what we referenced earlier.
Agreed.
About
or which Mandalorian are they referencing?
Which Mandalorian? I'm like, no, let's not play that game. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
Because you've set it up as Din Djarin as
I didn't like
Mandalorian.
That either.
So
right.
The whole Lone Wolf and Cub thing, boy, you've really got me on that one. I think that's where we're headed. I think it would just be fabulous.
I hope we get more of it.
I do. So yeah. All right, Brien, we're running up on the 1 hour mark.
We are. And it went quick.
It sure did, actually.
This hour went almost as fast as the episode of The Mandalorian that we're talking about. Seems to go by in just 15 minutes.
Right. So let me ask you this. Any final thoughts? Any final thoughts about just The Mandalorian, not only just this episode, but the season and the series? Any final thoughts that you have?
Final thoughts is I am going to rewatch all of it. I have already. As a matter of fact, this episode I've already watched 2.5 times. I tried to rewatch it last night to keep it fresh in my mind, but it was after I had gotten back from Mark's house and we had watched the horror movie.
Right.
And it was late, and I immediately fell asleep as soon as I put the TV on.
Okay.
Found myself, it was like 1:30 and the TV had gone to black, and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to bed then, and I'll just have to wing it in the morning.
Yeah, it's all good.
But no, I love the series. I love the way that Favreau and Filoni have been steering the ship, and I know they have a clear direction, and I trust them to tie everything up because the latest word is that we're going to get a movie that's going to tie all of the Disney shows together. Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and as Mike said, Ahsoka, which is coming down at the
that's
in the summer, right? End of the summer?
August, I think.
Yeah,
I think
August.
it starts in August.
So we've only got a few months to wait for that. So a lot of good stuff coming down the pipe that I'm really anxious for. So
same here.
The Mandalorian is awesome. I've, like I said, rewatched it a bunch of times, and I will continue to.
Yep, I am a big space western fan.
Agreed.
I love Firefly is my favorite, to be honest with you.
Yep.
I like how Serenity kind of tied it all up. The movie tied it all up and stuff, but I still wanted more. I even bought the comic book with where you got the Shepherd story.
I don't have that one.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, I'll have to seek that out.
Yeah, it's worth reading. It really is. How they set it up, because anyway, that's a whole nother episode. But anyway, space westerns. See, I almost nerded out on that.
Yeah. That'll be next week's episode. We'll talk Firefly.
Right. Right. So Brenda says Nathan Fillion is great in anything is great.
Agreed.
But
agreed. I've loved pretty much everything he's done.
Yeah, same here. Of course, I haven't seen Santa Clara Diet though with him in it, but I hear that's hysterical.
It's good. Yeah, he and Alan Tudyk are both in it. Santa Clarita Diet.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I think they play the same character, because I think Nathan Fillion wasn't available for the second season or something, so Alan Tudyk became Nathan Fillion's character. for what
Oh,
it was. You haven't seen it. I'm not going to spoil it
I have
because
not
it's
seen
not.
it.
Huh?
I have not seen it.
You have not seen it. Yeah, well, I'm not going to spoil it for you because it's not all of Nathan Fillion that's in it. So it was easy.
Okay.
It was easy to replace him.
Okay. This should be interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's a fun series. That's a fun series.
Okay.
I wish that
So
one hadn't gotten canceled, but yeah,
yeah.
because
Oh,
it
okay.
ended on a cliffhanger. So just warning you.
Oh,
But what you do have is fantastic. I do
okay.
recommend it still.
Right on. So with Nathan Fillion, just that space western, Firefly is just my favorite, all-time favorite.
Hmm.
I've watched them dozens of times, just
Hmm.
because I just enjoy them so much. So then, Star Wars, when Din Djarin came into play and they had that opening sequence, it was, as
Oh,
you
I know.
said, a Clint Eastwood
Hmm.
moment of,
It really was.
the
It
Man
totally
from
had that
Nowhere
feel for me as well.
series. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, and I'm like, "I'm gonna like this."
me too.
And but when I look at season 3, I'm like, "This is not the space western
No,
that we
no.
started with."
Yeah, it's become more the space opera that Star Wars evolved
Yeah,
into.
well stated,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah, so I am looking forward to a season 4 if that's the direction they go,
me
and
too.
now I'm totally gonna use your analogy of Lone Wolf and Cub from here on out,
Hmm.
because that's
Hmm.
really I do think that's what we're gonna get.
Yeah, I hope
Um,
so. I
you
like
know
that.
yeah, very much so.
Hmm.
Well, hey everybody. We are at our hour mark. Man, I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Brien, always a pleasure. It went by so fast.
Again,
This was
thank you
great.
guys for thinking of me when Mike said that he was going camping, and
Yep.
he reached out to me to fill in for him. I was touched. I said, that's great for thinking of me. So thank you. I always
Yeah.
have a ball talking to you guys.
Oh yeah, it's always a lot of fun, and everybody, if you have not checked out the Three Geeky Dads, you can find them on every single podcast catcher platform. Please look for them. You can
We're
actually
pretty
just do
much
a
everywhere.
search, just Three Geeky Dads, and just find them, add them to the list. Very fun, very knowledgeable, great insights and opinions that they give on the show, and just a lot of hoopla that goes on too, and a lot of creativity. I have to say that there's a lot of that goes on with that. So, please listen to them. They're fabulous, and they're just. I don't know. I just call us podcast brothers, in the
Absolutely.
sphere. So
Yeah.
it's just been great to meet
Yep.
you guys.
But
Who do
it's been a fun ride. It's been a
Yeah,
fun ride. Meeting you guys along the way. It's awesome.
yeah, it's been great. So,
Hmm.
all right, everybody.
Thank you
Well,
for the kind words, Stephen.
oh yeah, absolutely, my pleasure. Let's let me do this. What am I supposed to do? Everybody, we have this rhythm that we do the shows, and now I'm off kilter because I've just had such a good time. I haven't been processing. Okay, what's next? What are we supposed to do? Everybody, if you would please go check out our support page, which is at kofi.com, ko-fi.com/2geeks. There, you can help support us. All the money that we get just helps to pay for the streaming service, the podcast hosting, and all those kinds of things. We do make jokes about Mike's Lamborghini, but now we can make jokes about Mike's camper. If you want to get a hold of us, please, you can email us at show@2geeksmike.com. And our website is still up at the moment, 2geeksmike.com. We are getting ready to revamp that, and so be on the lookout for that as well. It's coming soon. Kind of looking forward to that. And we got all kinds of neat things happening. Now, if you are interested in doing your own podcast, everybody, I would encourage you to go to www.podbean.com/communicate. There you will find a link to the service that we use and we love is podbean.com. It made it so easy for us to get on all the major platforms. They walk you through it. They help you do that as part of their plan. It is only if you pay for a year at a time, it's only like $9 a month is all it is. So it's like $108 for the year, and that's unlimited podcasts. A lot of other podcast services out there will charge you by the hour, kind of thing of how much you produce. But with Podbean, they don't do that. And so if you want to check them out and think about doing a podcast on your own, I encourage you to do so, because it's a lot of fun and you meet all kinds of people all over the world. And so like would New England area be part a new world? I think so, actually.
Up here, we like to think of it as a strange new world.
Yeah, right. Everybody, we've had some great guests on the show. Brien, you are among them. So thanks for joining us so much. And everybody, hey, join in. We've got some fun things coming ahead. Mike and I do. We've got some comic books we're going to be talking about. Very excited about. If you're John Wick fans, we are going to actually go into Keanu Reeves' book. His comic book, Berserker, and is coming up soon. We're working on that. We're working on some other things as well. So I'm pretty excited about what's on our plate coming up. So please continue listening. And if you have any questions, again, just drop us a line at show@2geeksmike.com. All right. Well, Brien, there we have it. There we are. A great, successful show. Thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely.
A lot of fun.
Well, everybody, Mike normally does the outro, or kind of a thing, and so I'm not normally used to doing this, or what the last video is. So we'll see if we can do that. But all I got to say about that is thank you so much for joining us, and this is the way.
This is the way.
Thank you for joining us today on the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast. Tune in next week when we will have more news and reviews. Until then,
may the force be with you.